Hi, I'm Scott ROCKNAK, and this is the HH 55, all-carbon cat, considered one of the highest quality cats in the world. HH has several boats ranging from 50 feet all the way up to 66 feet in carbon and now in E-glass in the 50-footers. Lucky enough to get one of these. This door system is really interesting. The key basically turns a little teeny bit and you move your lock or your handle like this, and you can slide the door open and just have this space right here, but you can also slide everything else this way. These all have locking positions. It's a very heavy grade door. It does lock into place really nicely. This really opens up the whole salon. When you go to the boat shows, you have an opportunity to jump on a bunch of cats, see the different interiors. I think what stands out on these HH Catamarans is the attention to detail for the woodwork inside the boat. And it doesn't have an avant-garde interior or something that's trying to be modern. It's a very traditional look to it. Nice radius corners, solid teak on the corners, but all the panels are extremely lightweight, so it's actually good for a cat to keep it light. This is about the weight of almost like an envelope. So I've noticed things like book match floors, you know, really tight mitered corners, again the radius corners, handholds, really thoughtful layout, satin varnish, gloss varnish on the tables, very, very good attention to a traditional look to the interior. A liveaboard cat versus a charter cat, which is really designed for several people for a week or two. You really have to think of a liveaboard cat like your home, and this boat has very long, deep drawers, well done on sliders for multiple years of opening and closing, and it has 4 of these in this design, one underneath of the stove and one over here in the corner. That's just this area, and of course there's this whole cabinetry over here. The 4 drawers here are being used to hold things such as dishes. The one below it is holding glasses and cups. They're rather deep. Nice place for it. Behind here on the other side in the forward cabin is a very deep locker. You can see how wide that would be. It's great for clothing for that forward cabin. And of course here is a deep locker too, mostly food storage. Somewhat unique to this boat is the center island concept. Big nice counter here. Refrigeration systems, freezers on one side, which I'll show you. A TV that comes in through its own cassette here and turns around. You have a microwave or a microwave convection oven here. Shelf storage, and you have one of your AC GFI circuit breakers here. This gives you a little bit better idea of what's going on here with the stove and the oven. Of course, on a catamaran, different from a monohull, you generally don't gimbal the stove and the oven because the boat just doesn't really heel like that. This particular boat has a Force 10 4-burner, so it has a door that moves out of the way. It has a boiler and an oven. The top lifts up so you can clean it easily. And you can take off the pieces, clean that. Very, very, very easy stove to keep in good condition. It does have pot holders and so forth. The LEDs are all split on dimmers, so you don't use a lot of power to, say, run like 15 of them at once. You can run a bunch of separate ones. And you can see as I turn these on and off that there's a variety of lighting options that you can do. To really light the boat the way you want. And of course, there's the courtesy lights on the floor as well. The trash on the boat is located right next to the companionway, so it's easy to get to it in the cockpit. But you can also just put your trash right here. Like all modern boats, there's a solenoid control right here. So you would leave your stove going, turn off your solenoid, let the flame go down, then you would turn off your stove. That way you burn it all out of the line. And that's real handy. It's right here. And you're not reaching across the stove to get to it. It's here. And then there's also an alarm built into this system. It's a Trident. We have fridge, freezer, fridge. What strikes me with this boat is the beam seems to be, fairly normal for cats in this size, but the impression of width in this boat is fantastic. Each person has their own complete area where you can have separate conversations and not override the other. So here in the Nav Station, we have a B&G unit and controls for the AC system and the air conditioning and the generator, places for monitors and laptops, and this can be played with quite a bit depending on your needs as a builder or buyer of this boat. This particular fellow that has this boat elected to get the smaller table here with the L-shaped settee, and in the foreground is a larger table that can actually go down and make a day berth or just another berth for additional people. Very well thought out. You could actually have people overloaded. You could have people eating in both places, and you still have the cockpit table too, and that whole back opens up, so the whole area could be a giant entertaining area space if you need to. The windows are all tinted safety glass, not giant, but just about the right size and the right angle, not just to act like a solarium. So it's a very nice feeling in here, and doesn't appear to become a greenhouse. It's excellent visibility, 360 degrees, but it has the feeling of strength to it. The galley really is set up for a cook. You have your own space, but you can easily take things and put it here on the counter for serving, or you can bring them out to the cockpit. I remember when I first started chartering larger cats, I took a Kronos 45 out a long time ago, and that was one of the first ones that I chartered with a galley near an opening pass into the cockpit. And I always thought that was a great idea versus having a galley forward. So I really enjoy the cats that have the galley aft like this, because of the ability to pass to the cockpit, to be next to ventilation, and in this particular boat, which is unique, to have the island and be able to have the servings going this way, but no one coming through your area to get food. This is a high quality table, solid edges, a really nice armature underneath to raise and lower it, to make your day bed cockpit table size and full up. Easy can sit a lot of people here, and in the foreground here are carbon fiber chairs that were made for the boat. They're actually, you can lift them with a finger. I can't imagine how strong they are. They're crazily strong, I'm sure. But with this boat, when you're eating, you can look right out into the cockpit and have the doors open, and it's actually the kind of thing where you're not relegated to have an interior eating space and an exterior. This is sort of a hybrid where you could be the nicest of days outside and you feel perfectly comfortable eating inside, not feeling you have to eat outside even though you can. One of the things that adds to the value of the boat is just the finish of the interior, and it also adds to the cost, of course, because it's thousands of man hours to take something like this, which is carbon fiber, and ferret and fill it and prime it and multiple paint it and have a gloss. It's gloss or semi-gloss, which would show the most imperfections, and there are no imperfections. So it's a very, very high-end look to it. It almost is as if it's a molded inner liner, but it's not. This is the actual cabin side on the other side of the cabin, but it's been filled and faired. It doesn't have a rough look like you see in some cats. Or a plywood. It's very well done, very strong. It's not very thick, but it's strong. It's carbon fiber. This boat has a lot of natural ventilation. Of course, it has air conditioning systems, but it has a lot of ventilation. Forward small offshore style hatches. There's 3 of them here. Then we have 2 overhead hatches in the main salon, and of course we have a large opening door aft. And we have, of course, hatches forward, which will let air into the other cabins. All the windows have blinds, and this one's rather clever with the little 45 here on the corner. There's some interesting usable space in this boat.
You can put cockpit cushions and other things up here just to get them out of the way if you're using the berth. Well thought out, nice. As a liveaboard boat, I've noticed that for a cat it has a lot of storage. It has a very comfortable feel to it, especially being able to customize the lights, the finish. Everywhere you look is something that you can enjoy looking at. There is a lot of pride and ownership in this boat to be able to see the finish work. But the finish work is sitting on a structure that is extremely strong. It's a Class A Module B, which means they actually come and inspect the original models when they're built. CE rated boat. So it has an offshore rating. It's extremely strong. The carbon fiber boats, of course, have their own, parameters for strength. And the new E-glass epoxy fiberglass boats also have carbon fiber in parts of them, parts of the bulkheads and things like that. It is a well-made boat, and these boats are generally sailed anywhere in the world. As a liveaboard boat, if you're going to be giving up your house and going cruising for an extended period of time, you need the storage space. You need your own spaces, you need room for guests, you need a basic livability things that you would find in your house, and you start to see that in cats 50 feet and up. Sure, you can do it in a smaller cat, but the larger cats carry the weight more evenly. So if you have a 40-foot cat and you have a 50-foot cat, you're still carrying the same clothes, same scuba tanks, maybe a slightly smaller rib, but almost the same weight, same kind of water. Maybe a little bit difference in fuel because the engines are bigger in a bigger cat, but your weight is the same. But in a 55 boat like this, you're distributing that weight. Plus you have the added advantage of additional waterline length. So the boats you'd make your passages much, much faster. It's not inconceivable for this boat to be, cruising speeds in the low to mid-teens. When you go aboard cats, you generally find cabins that look pretty similar to each other because they're narrow hulls, and you're putting your berths generally in the forepeak or the aft part of the boat. We're aft starboard right here. The HH 55 that I'm on now has a large picture window aft, and that gives almost the illusion of the same thing you would get in a mega yacht that has a full width cabin with giant windows on either side. It really does add a lot to this cabin. Of course, on the other side there's a full length window as well, and there's an overhead hatch. So if you tend towards claustrophobia, with this white finish and these windows, this is almost like you're outside. Very comfortable, a queen, lots of headroom. And another important thing is, a lot of people will take the forward cabin, going chartering or you're living on a boat, the forward cabin because it has air coming into it from the bow. Well, this hatch is on the deck and it faces forward, so if I stuck my head up through it, I can actually look right down the deck. So it acts as a ram and brings the air right in the aft cabin, almost as if you were up in the forward cabin. So you have the wider berth aft, and this would probably be your master cabin. The forward cabin also is very airy. It's a slightly smaller berth in this particular boat. You can change things around a little bit. I imagine you can move it aft to make it a little wider, I suppose. But it's a decent sized berth. It's what you would expect to see at a cat this size. Again, a lot of space, a lot of headroom, illusion of a lot of headroom in the forward cabin. There's the forward hatch I talked about before, lets a lot of air in. There's also a side port. There's side ports in both cabins in the window, so there's a full-length window here. Overhead hatch, nice lighting, nice shades, decent closets, storage lockers, and space for hanging things here as well. It's your choice which way you would sleep, head forward or head aft. Either one would work in this boat. This boat has a Jack and Jill head, meaning that there is a head forward, a head aft, one for each cabin, but a center shower. So you get much larger heads than you would in a typical boat that has 4 heads, 4 showers, 4 cabins. So it's sort of a hybrid between a master cabin style boat and what's considered, it used to be called the charter version. So this really isn't a charter version, but it's a Jack and Jill head. But the shower is shared, but it's a stall size shower with an opening port, and it has plenty of lighting, decent, house quality fixtures inside.